All right, let's get right into it. We spend so much time talking about how to get out of debt, right? But we almost never talk about what happens the day after. And that's the real secret here. Crossing that debt-free finish line, that's not the end of the story. No, that's the beginning of a brand new and, frankly, a much more important one.
To really get what I'm talking about, let's picture two families. We've got the Harrisons and the Parkers. Now, they live on the same street, they have the same income, and they both became completely debt-free in the very same month. But fast forward just a few years, and they're living in totally different universes. The Harrisons, they've got a brand new Tahoe with a brand new monthly payment, of course, a half-finished kitchen reno, and a couple of vacations booked on the credit card. And the Parkers? Well, they're still driving their trusty old Camry, but their investment account is quietly growing into something huge, and they're spending their evenings sketching out plans for a bakery they want to open. So, what on earth happened? How did they end up in such different places?
And this quote just nails it. This is the whole idea of our explainer today. Getting out of debt isn't the happy ending. It's page 1 of a brand new chapter. And the choices you make in that moment, literally the day after you're free, those choices are going to define the rest of the entire book.
So, let's talk about what actually changes the second those payments stop. Because it's not just about the money. It's about unlocking this new capability, this kind of financial superpower you probably forgot you even had.
First off, the numbers alone are just insane. The average American household is shipping out around $3,500 every single month. For the mortgage, the car loan, student debt, credit cards, the whole shebang. And when that stops, that cash doesn't just disappear. It shows up in your checking account. And for the very first time, it is 100% yours.
I love how this slide reframes this. Think about it. A debt payment is basically just a monthly subscription to the decisions your past self made. That car you bought 5 years ago, that degree from 10 years ago, you're still paying for it. But the day you're free, that subscription is finally canceled. You've stopped funding yesterday, and now you can start funding tomorrow.
But the change isn't just in your bank account. It's actually in your brain. A really famous Princeton study found that intense financial stress can lower your cognitive function by the equivalent of 13 IQ points. No, that's not a metaphor. That's a real, measured number. Your debt is literally eating away at the part of your brain that makes good decisions.
You know, researchers even have a name for this, the bandwidth tax. It's that constant low-level hum of financial anxiety that makes you forget why you walked into a room, or makes you snap at your kids for no reason, or has you lying awake at 2 a.m. doing math in your head. Well, when you become debt-free, that tax is gone. You get your full brain back.
Okay, so you've got more money, you've got a clearer head, you've got more courage. Sounds amazing, right? A total paradise. Well, this is exactly where the Harrisons fell into the first huge trap. It's something psychologists call the arrival fallacy. You spend years, maybe a decade, imagining that making that final payment will feel like winning a gold medal. You know, confetti, epic music, the works. But the reality? It's just a boring little transaction on your banking app. The number changes to 0, and then you have to go figure out what's for dinner. It's so anticlimactic, and that feeling creates this void that people feel a desperate need to fill. And this leads to this super predictable pattern. That empty feeling makes you start justifying things. You tell yourself, hey, we deserve a reward. We've been so disciplined for so long. For the Harrisons, their last student loan payment cleared on a Tuesday. By Friday, they were at the car dealership signing up for a brand new payment on a new Tahoe. They had literally just traded their freedom for a reward.
The second trap is a lot more subtle, and it's all about other people. And this slide really puts it into perspective. Only about 23% of American households are completely debt-free, and that includes their mortgage. So when you get there, you need to understand you are officially in the minority. You're the exception to the rule.
And being the exception can trigger something called crab mentality. You know how if you put one crab in a bucket, it'll climb right out? But if you put a whole bunch of crabs in there, none of them get out. Why? Because the others will literally pull down any crab that tries to escape. And, well, people can do this too. Your friends, your family, they might not say it out loud, but your success can make them feel uncomfortable. And they might unconsciously try to pull you back into those old habits just to keep things feeling normal.
So if that's the trap, what's the prize? What's the alternative? Let's go back to the Parkers. They felt that same anticlimax. They dealt with the same social pressures, but they chose a completely different path.
They took all that cash they'd freed up and started using the most boring, but also the most powerful superpower in the entire universe, compounding. I mean, look at these numbers. The first year, it's not exactly life-changing, but by year 5, you're sitting on over 100 grand. By year 10, it's $250,000. And by year 20, you're looking at almost $800,000, all from just being consistent and unexciting.
The Parkers didn't celebrate with a big purchase. They celebrated by quietly, systematically building a future.
See, here's the really crucial part. Somewhere along that compounding journey, a fundamental identity shift happens. It's a change that happens inside your head. You stop thinking of yourself as a person who used to have debt, and you start seeing yourself as a person who has money. And that internal change, that is everything. It's what separates the people who keep the wealth from the ones who accidentally give it right back.
But here's the thing that almost nobody tells you. The real win, the grand prize, it isn't actually the pile of money. It's something so much more valuable.
This right here is the whole concept of what people sometimes call FU money. It's the ability to walk away from any situation, a terrible boss, a toxic job, a project that just feels wrong, without having to worry about how you're going to make next month's car payment. A person with debt is basically a hostage to their monthly payments. A debt-free person is not.
What you're really buying back is optionality. You get your choices back. You can go into a salary negotiation with real leverage. You can decide to take a pay cut to switch to a career you actually love. You can finally scrape together the capital to start that business you've always dreamed of, because debt isn't holding you hostage anymore. You see, the debt wasn't just costing you money, it was costing you versions of yourself you never even got the chance to meet.
And that brings us right back to our two families. This is the choice, laid out plain and simple. The Harrisons chose a new monthly payment and an asset that loses value every day. The Parkers chose to invest in a potential income stream and a life built on their own terms. Same exact starting point, but two radically different destinations, all based on that very first decision they made after becoming debt-free. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Every dollar you owe is a vote for the life you already have. But every dollar you save, every single dollar you invest after you're free, well, that's a vote for a life you haven't even lived yet. So the only question left is, what life are you voting for?